Hello. I'm currently staying at the City Care Night Shelter. I have the ability to maintain this due to the assistance you provide. I've told this story 1,000 times, so I'll spare you. But basically, I had a productive, normal life, and due to an injury, a subsequent year in the hospital, the loss of my teeth, and use of my leg to fighting the infection, I lost everything and was released crippled, still sick, and struggling with everything I did. Normal things were almost impossible. I was lucky and was told about the shelter by someone, and it helped. I was not in the condition to be homeless on the streets. The shelter helped a great deal, but I had no money and no ability to work, and being made to leave every morning with no resources, barely the ability to get myself on the bus every day became extremely stressful. And I just didn't see any way I could get the ungodly amount of things I'm still working on done just to restabilize.
City Care opened the night shelter for our first night, April 6th, 2021. And even in the design process, we knew that transportation was going to be something that we wanted to focus on. So we started working on the design process for mobile outreach and engagement, which we affectionately call MO. Before MO, at the night shelter, the best that we could do for somebody is a day pass for our city's public transportation system that would maybe get them to and from one appointment. And it would likely take all day for them to do that because of how big Oklahoma City is and because of how our public transportation system is structured. And it worked, but we all recognized pretty quickly that it wasn't the best possible iteration of how we could care for our guests that needed to get to and from places and appointments that we were making for them. And I remember it was actually the first day that we started MO that I happened to be at the night shelter, and I was walking some folks through, and we had just brought our very first group of people on MO from the day shelter over, and there was a lady who got off and she asked if I worked at City Care, and I said yes, and she was like, I just have to tell you how grateful I am for this bus. She was like, this is my first time at the night shelter and I've wanted to come, but I haven't been able to get over here. So increasing, like I said, accessibility for people. We knew that it was going to help, but we didn't know just how significant the need was. Each vehicle has a spot for 2 people who are in wheelchairs. And the last hour of that shift, people are focused on getting people in wheelchairs to and from the night shelter. In this design process, we started with a group of people who had lived experience. We worked with the guests at the night shelter to get a sense of where they wanted to go, not just where they needed to go, but where they were going to see value in going. The appointments that we were going to make for them, where were those places? And then we also talked with our community partners and other shelters to see what the need was going to be for them as well. So MO is available to people who don't just stay at the night shelter, it's available to anybody. And part of that for us was engaging our community partners to do something that was going to meet a need for them as well. So we went through this design process, and we also asked for Embark's help, which is our city's public transportation provider. They were so gracious and generous with their help in this design process. We worked with Marilyn Dillon, who's an expert in transportation, specifically in accessible transportation. And she was, again, just so generous with her expertise and her time. She helped us think about route development and how to track ridership, the data points that we would need to think about if we were eventually going to propose Embark taking this on, which was something we wanted to incorporate into the design process from the very beginning, because as we do with other things, we know that we are uniquely positioned to get something up and running, but we may not be the best person to carry it on long term. There may be another entity or another organization that is better at doing this sustainably long term. And I think this is where we get to seeing how this is such a great example of a public-private partnership, where you have a service provider, a nonprofit like City Care, a government entity like Embark, and then private philanthropy like Rick Cooper and others who come alongside to get something like this going. And that gives us an opportunity to just see how it goes. We get to work out all the kinks and hand it off to, again, somebody who can do it long term, but may not be well positioned to get it started.
Well, one of the things that our division at Embark kind of embraces is that mobility equals quality of life. And so one of the things that we were excited about with the MO Shuttle was this was going to be a route-based system for individuals to access those types of services they need to stabilize. Well, the very first route was a bit of a challenge because we started out with obviously more locations than a single vehicle could do in a single day and stay on time. Oklahoma City is a very large city, over 680 square miles. Those locations are spread out, and even though most of the agencies are located on what we call major arterial streets, you still have to consider all of those types of things when you're routing something. You know, the travel time between places can vary greatly depending on the time of day. So, you know, for example, in the afternoon when the shuttle is wrapping up its route and coming back through downtown to do its final drop-offs, we had to allow additional time so that stayed on time through the traffic. I want to say thank you to City Care because they understood that transit is a unique animal, and it's always important to have that subject matter expert when you're launching a new program, especially when it has to do with transit. A lot of times individuals don't think about the things when they're scheduling things. That was one of the real important pieces of the MOE, was making sure that it stayed on a timetable, so it was dependable, so it was not another stressor for someone's life when they're trying to stabilize.
Our route is a very specific route that doesn't deviate off of what we have listed and what we know the need is for our guests, because the guests really built this. That's the benefit of it. Their voices are heard to build this program. We serve these guests to go to the Social Security office, the DHS office, the DMV, all of the places to get the documentation or to get the things that these individuals need to be successful. This is a route that is going to stay the same all the time to get these specific needs met with an advocate, with a driver that you're connected to, that you see those faces each day, that you trust, and that you know for sure will be back to pick you up. We don't often get to hear the backstories of the individuals that we serve, or even really a lot of what they're doing on MOE. We know that we're taking them to places that are going to support them with getting documents or mental health medications or whatever that looks like, just services in general, but we don't really get to hear a lot of the backstory. And a gentleman that was staying at our shelter took the time to send me a direct email about his story, and most of it was talking about the fact that he had disabilities. He was hospitalized prior to coming in to the shelter. He had lost all of his teeth. He had lost a limb. He was in no condition to be out on the streets. And when he found out about MOE, he was so excited, but just still thinking, like, is this gonna benefit me? Am I gonna be able to get what I want? He immediately talked with our driver and the advocate, and they assured him these are the things that we do. This is exactly why we exist. And so they were able to take him to get those documents. He was successful in getting them. In the email that he wrote to me, he said specifically, none of this would have been possible without the trust of the team and without the compassion from them, and knowing that they were going to take me where I had asked them to take me, and they were going to be there, those same two faces, to pick me up. And that felt like it was family, felt like it was home, like I am just getting this loving support from these people. Since we started MOE, we have provided 10,000 rides and plan to provide many, many more moving forward, and expanding this out to possibly weekends, evenings, and whatever we need to do to meet the need of the community.
Partnerships are so incredibly important, and we're so thankful that City Care recognized the need to reach out to us. We are the transportation experts. We do this every day, and I really am excited to see that trend continuing across our area. We're holding monthly coordination meetings now about transportation access. Our last meeting last month, there were 37 nonprofits across the metro area there. These kind of long-term partnerships and long-term planning and working together, we're going to change the landscape of social services in Oklahoma City. We're going to create a network. We're going to make it easier to get to that quality of life we want everyone to experience.
I had seen the MOE buses and had heard about them. You guys have helped me more than you know. And given what I was prepared to do to keep from drowning, probably helped a lot of other people too. Thanks to you and this service, I've been able to make appointments get where I needed to go so I can dig myself out of this the correct way. The staff is amazing, and they visibly care very much, I think. The rides are pleasant, and I just love these people, independently of their jobs. Whoever hired these people, as well as whoever had the impetus for all of this, has my thanks and my attention. I hope someday, sooner than later, I can contribute myself. Thank you for helping me put this all back together. You've been a port in the storm.